Hey friends, it's Dave. Thanks for watching. Today I just wanted to make another one of my regular investing updates videos where I talk about the markets, what I've been doing with my personal portfolio, how my personal portfolio has been doing, and just ask how you guys have been doing with your portfolios, what trades you've made, and how you're faring out there. Today I think it feels a lot more bleak than usual. I was looking at my portfolio and I'm just not going to sugarcoat it. It kind of sucks right now. If you're along in the market, which is what I basically am, it kind of sucks. I don't generally try to time the highs and lows because I just find that's just too difficult. So if you want to sell the top and then buy the bottom again, I find you're more likely to miss out and overshoot one way or the other, not get back in or sell too soon. I just think it's too impossible to do. So I just tend to buy when I find that something's on sale or what I consider to be on sale, and then just hold long term, basically always. So if you're like me, then right now you're probably having a rough time too. And it's just kind of how it is. I was looking at the markets and I realized that I think this is actually the worst period in the entire stock markets that I've experienced since I began investing. I was somewhat exposed to it in the 07-08 crash, but I really just had the beginnings of a few mutual funds and nothing major, certainly nothing I was following as closely as I am today, just kind of something that was in the background there. But since then, when I've gotten a lot more into investing, this has definitely been the worst period I've ever gone through. And it's pretty painful. I can definitely understand people who decide to just forget it. It's too stressful, sell everything, go take their money, put it into maybe real estate or something else. Definitely understand it, but I am also definitely not going to do that because I know the good times will come again eventually, and I don't want to miss them. So that's kind of how I'm feeling. Definitely a little depressing looking at my portfolio this week, but I'm still going to do it because I like to be open and have these discussions, and it kind of makes me feel better to see and know that other people go through the same stuff. So if you want to share how your portfolio is doing, please let me know down in the comments below. With that, I do have a few things to show you, so let's get into it. So here we have my main account portfolio for a 1 month return. We have down $168,000. One of my worst months on record, I do believe, and definitely rough to go through, definitely painful, but it's just kind of how it is when you're holding long term in a bear market environment, and we've had a doozy of a month for sure. CPI numbers came in hotter than expected. We have wars going on. We have all sorts of problems, and the markets are getting hit hard. A lot of people think this is just the beginning. Others think we're nearing the end. A lot of uncertainty out there, and of course, we're all stuck in the middle of it. So it is what it is. I look at it, but I try not to let it bother me too much. You know, it's just numbers. It goes up and down. At the end of the day, get outside, get some fresh air, and don't let it bother you too much, I think, is the way to go. Just some trading updates I've made in the past couple weeks. I might have mentioned some of this to you before. I don't think I mentioned the Rocket Lab buy that I just made the other day, though. Bought at 3.815. It's quite a good price as far as I'm concerned. We bought $991 American. By the way, I just wanted to take a quick break to say if you're enjoying the video and if you like talking about investing with me, please do consider hitting subscribe down below. It will really help out the channel. I appreciate every subscriber so much. Really trying to push through to that 1,000 subscriber mark, and starting to get a little bit closer, so every subscriber is appreciated. We also have a link to a Discord server down in the description where we talk about different investing ideas, share our research, that kind of thing, and you are welcome to join. So I hope to see you there, and with that, let's get back to the video. That comes out to about 260 shares, so we're starting to claw our way up to the 10,000 share count that I set my target at. Feels nice to get close to that number, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of the one nice thing about being in such a rough market is being able to take advantage of these cheap prices when you can, and personally I feel like Rocket Lab is very cheap, below $4. I've also been doing some covered calls on my Win stock, which is just something I'm holding at a loss, and I don't really want to hold anymore, but I don't also want to take a big loss on it. So I'm just kind of selling calls to allow it to be called away from me at my cost basis. And for that, I'm just kind of collecting some premiums pretty much every month. And once I do get out of it at a break even, I will have made money on these calls that I've been selling month over month. So previous one was $158 that expired recently. I sold a new one and I made another $114, so a little bit less basically because the stock was lower. So people think there's a lower probability of it hitting that $100 level and I can get less money for it. But for me, I think it's still worth it just to collect these premiums as I'm holding it at a loss. It's nice to kind of get paid for it, so to speak. So if you look at my total Rocket Lab shares now, we are up to 9,626. So as I said, very close to that 10,000 mark. If we dip back below the fours, I will likely add another 400 shares pretty soon. And then I'll feel comfortable just holding. Doesn't mean I won't add again if I see something that's really attractive to me and I have the opportunity available to me and the cash available to me, but I'll be comfortable feeling like I didn't let an opportunity pass me by, something that I believe is an opportunity. I really did pounce on it and stand by my conviction on that. So the average price has now dropped a little bit. It used to be up at 4.6 something, and with this it's dropped down to 457. I feel like any price on average below $5 for Rocket Lab I'm pretty happy about. So there is at least that silver lining in the overall markets. My biggest loser in my portfolio lately has been Tesla. It's a very large position for me. They kind of missed on delivery numbers. Even though they hit on production numbers, it's just that not all the cars got delivered. It's a really big hit to the stock. They also did have an investor day recently, not unlike Rocket Lab, and they had a big hit to the stock after that, also not unlike Rocket Lab. So a bit of similarities there. These stocks seem to have big, exciting investor days and really slump after that. I think the earnings will out eventually on this company, though, and I'm not too worried about it over the long run. But, of course, it's never fun to see those negatives in your account, and it's been a rough month. We've lost almost a third of the value of the stock. Yeah, I'm sure you guys have all heard by now that the CPI data came in hotter than expected. We had a headline consumer price index number up 0.4%, which is more than we were expecting. We really want to see those CPI numbers go down because this means the Fed is definitely going to keep raising interest rates to try and get inflation under control. Probabilities are now showing an extremely high likelihood of a 75% basis point hike at the next meeting, whereas previously there seemed to be some slight perception out there that we could see a 50 basis point. Most people think that's now off the table. I'd kind of tend to agree with that. The Fed, the way they're talking anyway, it doesn't really seem like they're getting ready to stop raising anytime soon until we get some data. Now, I do think these hikes take a little time to work their way through the system. So maybe some of the hikes we've seen haven't, showed up on the top line CPI numbers as of yet. But these guys at the Fed definitely live and breathe this stuff and know it a lot more than I do. So yeah, I would expect this to keep going up and potentially cause more pain in the short term. But as I said, I am a long-term investor. So yeah, I was looking at the numbers and just kind of how bad things have been comparatively because it's just been so rough this past few weeks, going from like 1,300 to basically 10,000. This is the Nasdaq, by the way. So I wanted to check it out, and 52-week high to 52-week low, we're down 37%, which is very substantial. And I think a lot of you guys know, if you've invested in growth companies or profitable companies, they've in many cases been hit much worse. In many cases, more than 50% down, 70% down. It can be brutal. So even though this 37% number may seem like it's not that bad, if you're invested in the growth space, it may have very well been worse for you. However, that's kind of around the levels my portfolio is down, maybe slightly less than that. I was kind of curious to compare this to previous bear markets. I really wanted to see where we stand on this because, as I said, I wasn't really in the market during the 2008, 2007 crash to any meaningful amount, and then obviously not in 2000 or any of these other crashes. 1973, wasn't alive back then, but I did want to compare us just to try and give myself an idea of what those looked like and, potentially how far we have to go. So S&P is down less than the Nasdaq. We're looking at about 27.5%. And in 2007, it was actually down significantly more than that. We were looking at like over 50%. So, it is possible. Some people are saying they expect a lot more pain ahead, and it's definitely happened before. It is possible. I really hope it doesn't happen because it'd be tough to take. I know I've had a rough enough time as it is over the past year to go through another, basically drop as much as we already have. That would be tough to handle. But this is where you really show your stuff as an investor, that you can hold through the rough times and stick with it to get to those good times where you make that money again. And the weaker hands, as people call it, will sell out and potentially miss out on the upside eventually when that does come. I'm not saying when it will come because obviously I have no idea. So we're currently down 27.5% in the COVID drop. We were down 33%. So S&P is almost down as much as that COVID drop. I believe the Nasdaq is already down more than that. I could be wrong on that, but it's definitely on a percentage basis. It's been a really huge drop for us, and it's been really tough to handle. A little bit of maybe another silver lining, though, is it seems like Rocket Lab is actually faring surprisingly well in these markets. I know a lot of you might laugh at that and think, look at all the red in your holdings and how bad it is. But it really could be worse in a market like this, especially Rocket Lab being a company that's not profitable yet, and a lot of them have been hit so hard. Now, don't get me wrong, Rocket Lab has as well been hit hard, but looking at a 6-month basis here, we're now at new all-time lows, but Rocket Lab is not yet at new all-time lows. So our all-time low is still back in July. We're now lower on the Nasdaq than we were in July, which is kind of showing some relative strength, really, for the company overall. I know it may not feel like it, but we're kind of holding the line here. It seems like there's maybe a little bit of support down at these levels. For whatever reason, the stock isn't pushing through. So I don't know if that's going to continue if the Nasdaq continues to drop or not. Let me know what you think. Are we holding these levels? Do we have a strong support here at maybe 3.7-ish, or is there a good chance we're going to drop below? I do have to say, if we see 3.5s, if we drop below this, I might have to go above my 10,000 share count if I see deals like that. That's just me personally. But the way my portfolio is going, I'm definitely not going to complain if Rocket Lab can hold these levels. So it'll be interesting to see. And by the way, the day that CPI data came out, like what a crazy day. I have no explanation for it. So in the pre-market, we got the numbers before the market opened, and everything went super red, like super downhill fast. It was really bad. Some people were expecting even worse crashes, and then out of the blue, like midday, we just turn around and we end up like up a couple percent. So that's a 5% swing, which is absolutely massive. You never get midday swings like that, very rarely. And I really have no explanation for what's the cause. I mean, these numbers definitely did come in hotter than expected. It's definitely disappointing. And then we rallied, and I really don't know why. But next day, here we are, down significantly again. So maybe it was just a blip. But I'd really like to know why you think we bounced back on that one day. I just kind of chalk it up to, the markets being a little odd, never being completely predictable, and that's why I play the long game, because trying to predict these short-term moves and even understanding them is so difficult. But definitely interested in what you have to say about that one. So that's my update for the week, just giving you a little inside look into my own portfolio and how it's been going. Hopefully you can feel a little better knowing that I'm in there with you, dealing with the losses and all the red, all the negativity. Rocket Lab's been holding up a little bit at least, and I did add more to my portfolio as I inch up to that 10,000 share number. Overall, though, I'm just holding through this rough time. I do like to trade a little bit more actively in the bull markets. I find, at least for the things I like to do, there's more opportunities there, but I just kind of buckle down and get through these bear markets, which unfortunately makes it a rough time to really start a YouTube channel. So I really picked a bad time for that, but it is what it is. And hopefully you guys are getting through it too. And I hope you have a great day and a great weekend. I'll see you next time. Bye.